Imagine firing your entire administrative staff by Friday.
Oh boy.
Yeah, replacing them with a piece of software that costs maybe 20 quid a month and trusting it to, negotiate your highest value contracts.
It sounds like a nightmare, honestly.
It is, but that is the terrifying and, frankly, deeply flawed promise floating around LinkedIn right now regarding Anthropic's new AI framework, Mythos. I mean, we see these posts every single day.
Oh, absolutely. The tech gurus claiming you can just plug this new AI into your business, sit back on a beach somewhere, and just watch the invoices pay themselves.
Right. And as a small business owner who is just completely exhausted by tech hype that usually ends up being, I don't know, a slightly faster way to write an email, I have a massive problem with this narrative.
Yeah, well, the gap between the marketing hype of AI and the actual, operational reality on the ground is a canyon right now.
A total can't.
We are swimming in incredibly muddy waters when it comes to figuring out what tech is actually useful for a functioning business versus what is just a parlor trick. So we really need to separate the underlying structural progress of the technology from the fantasy being sold on social media.
Exactly. So whether you are prepping for a high-stakes strategy meeting in a corporate boardroom, or maybe you're a service business owner listening to this deep dive in your van between jobs, just trying to figure out how to claw back some of your weekend from endless admin tasks, we are giving you the ultimate reality check today.
That's right.
We're looking at a really grounded analysis by Andrew Norman regarding Anthropic's new release. Our mission here is to find out if Mythos actually matters for UK service businesses or if it's just, more silicon snake oil.
Yeah, and to understand why this specific release from Anthropic is making such massive waves among developers and analysts, we first kind of have to contrast it with the AI tools businesses are already using.
Right, the stuff everyone knows.
Exactly. The source material categorizes the current generation of tools. So things like the standard ChatGPT interface you might use in a web browser as communication aids.
Okay.
They're built for single, isolated tasks. You give them a prompt to draft a difficult email to a client, or maybe you stick a basic chatbot on your website to answer questions about opening hours.
Right, like a quick Q&A.
Yeah. They generate text in response to a direct command, but they are absolutely not task-oriented agents.
You mean what? Exactly.
Meaning they don't plan, they don't execute actions across different pieces of software, and they certainly don't verify multi-step workflows.
Okay, let's unpack this. So the AI most of us are using right now is essentially like a slick receptionist.
That's a good way to look at it.
Right. They sit at the front desk, they're very polite, they sound great on the phone, and they can take a really detailed message. But that is the absolute limit of their capability.
Precisely.
Whereas Mythos is trying to be the general manager who takes that message, checks the master calendar, dispatches the right team to the site, and then, files the paperwork with accounting.
Yeah, and what's fascinating here is that the general manager analogy really holds up because of the underlying mechanics of how these large language models actually function.
How so?
Well, at their core, models like Claude or GPT-4, they're predictive text engines.
Like autocomplete on your phone.
Exactly, like autocomplete, just incredibly sophisticated. They're basically calculators guessing the most statistically likely next word in a sequence.
Right.
So when you ask a predictive text engine to perform, say, a 10-step business process, it tends to lose context around step 3 or 4.
Oh, because it just gets confused.
Basically, the context window gets cluttered, the model goes off the rails, it hallucinates a response, or it simply forgets the original goal entirely because it's only focused on predicting the next immediate word, not managing a long-term project.
So it basically gets distracted by its own output.
Yes.
It's like asking someone to walk to the store, buy milk, drop off the dry cleaning, and pay the electric bill, but by the time they get the milk, they've completely forgotten they even own a car.
That is exactly it. And that is why Anthropic's Mythos isn't a new underlying intelligence. It's actually a framework.
A framework, okay.
Yeah, think of it as scaffolding built on top of their existing AI model, Claude. This scaffolding provides a structured environment to counteract all that distraction.
How does it do that?
It gives the AI what developers call a scratch pad.
Okay, a scratch pad.
Right. So before the AI takes any action, it is forced to write down a plan on this scratch pad. It outlines step 1, step 2, and step 3.
Oh, I see.
Then it executes step 1 and stops. The Mythos framework physically forces the AI to evaluate the result of step 1 against its original plan. Did it work? Did it get the data?
Oh, wow. So it's double-checking itself.
Exactly. Only after verifying that success is it allowed to move on to step 2. It's a mechanism for short-term memory, and really rigid accountability.
Okay, so if Mythos is this general manager with a clipboard and a scratch pad, what does that actually look like on a Tuesday morning in the real world?
Right.
Because, I mean, the day-to-day operations of a UK plumbing or electrical or HVAC company, they don't consist of simply answering basic questions. There are massive, complex workflows happening all at once.
They absolutely are. And the source analysis maps out these workflows to show where an agentic framework like Mythos could, theoretically step in.
Give me an example.
Sure. Imagine a typical customer inquiry. Someone emails your business about a broken commercial boiler.
Happens all the time.
Right. In a standard operation today, a human admin has to read that email, decipher what the customer actually needs, open up the scheduling software to check the availability of specific technicians who are actually certified for commercial boilers.
Which is a whole task in itself.
Exactly. Then they have to generate a job-specific quote based on the email details, draft a response, attach the quote, and send it.
And then the waiting game begins.
Yep. Then they wait. And once the customer approves, the human has to go back into the system and lock in the site visit.
Yeah, I mean, that is easily 30 minutes of administrative work for a single routine job.
Oh, easily.
And that's just the front end. Once the technician actually finishes the job, the post-job workflow kicks in.
Right, the invoicing.
Yeah, someone have to take the technician's messy handwritten notes or maybe a quick text message, translate that into a formal final invoice, send it to the client, track the payment, follow up a week later if it hasn't cleared, update the permanent record, and maybe set a calendar reminder for an annual checkup.
It's a lot of manual touches.
Every single one of those touch points currently requires human eyeballs, human clicks, and human cognitive load.
Right. And the promise of Mythos is that an AI agent handles that entire life cycle invisibly in the background.
Okay.
The customer emails about the boiler and the agent reads it, queries the schedule, drafts the quote, and sends it entirely anonymously.
Okay, I am going to push back hard on this utopian vision right now.
Fair enough.
The source explicitly highlights the danger here, and as a business owner, it honestly makes my blood run cold.
The quoting issue.
Yes. This all sounds amazing until the AI agent accidentally quotes 500 pounds instead of 5,000 pounds for a massive commercial boiler installation.
Yeah, that's a huge problem.
If my slick receptionist takes a message wrong, it is an annoyance, right? I call the customer back and apologize. But if my AI general manager legally binds me to a massive financial loss on a contract because it misinterpreted the market cost of copper piping, I mean, that is a business-ending event.
The 4,500-pound mistake.
Yeah.
Anthropic knows this vulnerability exists. That is precisely why the Mythos scaffolding focuses so heavily on verification and guardrails.
But is it enough?
Well, you're highlighting a crucial gap in current technology. AI still lacks genuine real-world grounding.
Right.
The model does not know what a commercial boiler actually is. It has never lifted copper piping. It doesn't understand the physical labor or the supply chain volatility involved.
It's just words on a screen to it.
Exactly. It only maps the statistical relationships between the words boiler installation and the historical pricing data it was trained on.
But wait, if I have to double-check every single quote the AI generates to make sure it didn't bankrupt me, haven't we just created a new admin task?
Sort of, yes.
I mean, I'm now an AI babysitter instead of a plumber or an HVAC specialist. Where is the actual time saving if I still have to review all of its work?
Look, you are an AI babysitter initially, yes.
Okay.
But the time savings come from the initial generation of the work. Reviewing a drafted quote and correcting one line item takes 2 minutes.
True.
Building that entire quote, checking the schedule, and drafting the email from scratch, that takes 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's fair.
So the human oversight remains absolutely critical for core business operations. You act as the final editor, not the blank page writer.
But fixing that 4,500-pound mistake isn't just about tweaking the AI's math or being a good editor. The AI is only failing because it is blind.
Blind to what?
It can't see my actual real-time supplier pricing. And that blindness brings us to what I see as the biggest bottleneck of all.
The infrastructure.
Yes, the actual software infrastructure required to make any of this work. People read these LinkedIn posts, they hear Anthropic release Mythos, and they think they can just go to an app store, click download, and suddenly have an AI general manager by Friday morning.
Right, and the text delivers a very cold, hard reality check on that exact assumption.
Thank goodness.
Mythos is a framework designed for software developers. It is not a ready-made, off-the-shelf software-as-a-service application that you can just subscribe to today.
So you can't just buy it.
No. It requires custom coding and development work to build an agent tailored to your specific business.
Yeah.
But even beyond the development of the AI itself, an AI agent is fundamentally only as good as the systems it is allowed to connect to.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Let's talk about the reality of the typical UK SME tech stack.
It's usually a bit of a mess.
A total mess. If you are listening to this, think about your own setup. It is usually a bit of a Frankenstein's monster. You might be using, say, Jobber or Housecall Pro on an iPad for your scheduling and dispatching.
Sure.
But your accountant forced you to use QuickBooks on a desktop for invoicing.
Very common.
And because your customers absolutely hate checking their email, you are doing all your actual day-to-day communication through WhatsApp on a company mobile phone.
Yep.
None of these systems were originally built to talk to each other cleanly.
No, those systems are completely siloed. And this is the crux of the entire digital transformation challenge.
Right.
AI agents cannot simply look at a screen and click a mouse the way a human does. They require application programming interfaces, or APIs, to move data from one piece of software to another.
The dreaded APIs.
Yes, APIs aren't just pipes, they're more like translators. QuickBooks speaks a completely different coding language than Housecall Pro. An API acts as a diplomat between the two, formatting the scheduled data from your iPad so the accounting software on your desktop can actually read and process it.
See, if my business's CRM and my invoicing software do not currently have that diplomat translating between them, an AI agent isn't going to magically fix that broken bridge.
It definitely won't.
If Jobber formats a date as day, month, year, but QuickBooks demands month, day, year, and there is no API translating that data, the system just crashes.
Exactly.
The AI agent hits a brick wall because it cannot physically bridge the gap between your disconnected software.
Yeah, and if we connect this to the bigger picture, making AI work seamlessly across these disparate platforms requires serious technical expertise to build those API bridges.
It's not a DIY project for most folks.
No. It's like trying to install a top-of-the-line smart thermostat in a house with 1950s knob and tube wiring.
Oh, that's a great analogy.
The device itself is brilliant, the AI is totally capable, but the infrastructure behind the walls simply cannot support the technology. The operational foundation has to precede the automation.
Okay, so given this steep technical integration challenge, the lack of off-the-shelf solutions, and the messy reality of the QuickBooks and WhatsApp combo most of us are running, what should a practical service business owner actually do right now?
Well,
We know the hype is overblown, but the underlying tech is real. Where do we start?
the source material lays out a very pragmatic return on investment playbook. It's essentially a priority journey for businesses to assess their readiness.
Okay, what's step one?
Interestingly, the most critical piece of advice is actually identifying when you should hit the brakes.
Really? Just stop.
Yeah, you need to wait on exploring AI agents entirely if your basic business processes are undocumented. AI requires a rigid, clear workflow to follow. It needs to know the exact steps of your operation to utilize that scratchpad we discussed earlier.
So what does this all mean? To me, it feels like this entire AI conversation is actually just a giant flashing wake-up call about standardizing our fundamental business processes.
I completely agree.
Because if every single job you do is a custom scramble, if technician A fills out paperwork one way and technician B just sends you a voice memo detailing the parts they used, feeding that into an AI agent is not going to solve your admin burden.
Not at all.
It is just going to replicate your scramble, but execute it at lightning speed. You cannot automate chaos.
You cannot automate chaos.
Yes.
That's the golden rule. AI does not spontaneously create order out of thin air. It just scales whatever system you currently have in place.
Right.
If you have a highly efficient, documented system where every technician follows the exact same protocol for logging parts, the AI scales that efficiency. It pulls the data flawlessly and generates the invoice.
Beautiful.
But if you have a chaotic bottleneck system where data is missing and formats are wildly inconsistent, the AI will scale the chaos. It will generate flawed invoices based on bad data way faster than you can fix them.
So if our business is currently chaotic, our immediate action item has absolutely nothing to do with AI.
Exactly.
We wait, we standardize our protocols, and we document our workflows. But then, when do we actually cross the threshold and start experimenting with the technology?
Well, this raises an important question about readiness. You start experimenting if you already have those solid, standardized processes in place.
Okay.
And if you are currently using some basic AI successfully, like using a simple interface to draft difficult customer service emails, and you are spending heavy, measurable hours on repetitive, multi-step tasks.
So the pain has to be real.
Exactly. That is where the return on investment actually exists today. The pain of the administrative burden must be acute enough to justify the financial and time cost of figuring out the tech.
The source outlines a very specific four-step priority journey for this, right?
Yes, it does. Step 1. Start with simple AI tools for single tasks. Just get your team comfortable with the technology acting as a basic communication aid.
Walk before you run.
Right. Step 2. Document and standardize your key workflows. Write down exactly how a quote is generated, step by step, from the moment the phone rings to the moment the email is sent.
Okay, and step 3.
Step 3. Integrate your existing systems so they share data effectively. Do the hard work of setting up those API diplomats between your scheduling software and your accounting software.
Upgrade the wiring in the house before you buy the smart thermostat.
Precisely. And then, only after those 3 steps are complete, do you move to step 4. Exploring AI agents built on frameworks like Mythos to automate those complete workflows.
That makes a lot of sense.
It does.
Sure.
And the reality for most SMEs today is not that they should rush out, spend thousands of pounds, and hire a developer to build a custom Mythos agent.
Please don't do that.
No, the true immediate ROI right now is laying that groundwork. It's doing the deeply unglamorous work of documenting processes and connecting APIs.
Because eventually, this technology will just become off the shelf.
Right.
In a year or two, the major software providers, the companies that build the CRMs and scheduling apps we already use, they're going to build these Mythos-style agents directly into their platform.
Almost certainly. It'll just become a standard feature of business software. And when those tools become affordable, accessible, and require no custom coding, the businesses that have already laid the tracks and documented their workflows, they will be able to hit the ground running on day 1.
While everyone else is scrambling.
Exactly. The businesses that are still operating on undocumented chaos, relying on messy handwritten notes and siloed software, they will be left behind, entirely unable to plug the new tools in.
Wow. Okay, so to wrap this all up, Anthropic's Mythos genuinely is a major step forward in the underlying technology.
It really is.
We are slowly moving from AI that just acts like a communication aid, answering simple questions and drafting text-to-task-oriented agents that can reliably handle multi-step workflows using structured verification and those scratch pads we talked about.
Yeah, it's real progress.
But for the UK tradesperson or service business owner listening to this, the immediate takeaway is a massive reality check.
Huge reality check.
Do not buy into the LinkedIn hype that this is a magic wand you can wave over your business tomorrow. AI demands an integrated tech stack, and more importantly, it demands standardized, meticulously documented business processes first.
It really forces us to look critically at the foundation of the business itself.
It does.
But looking ahead, if we assume that within a few years, AI will eventually handle all of that administrative friction invisibly in the background, the scheduling, the quoting, the invoicing, the follow-ups, it leaves us with a fascinating prospect.
What's that?
If every plumber or electrician in town eventually has an AI agent that quotes instantly and flawlessly, then administrative speed and efficiency are no longer competitive differentiators.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right. What sets a local service business apart when the software does all the heavy lifting? It suggests that the actual physical human interaction, the firm handshake at the door, the friendly, empathetic chat while fixing the HVAC unit, the trust built in person, that becomes the ultimate premium product that a business can offer.
The technology handles the transaction, but the human handles the relationship.
Exactly.
Something to mull over the next time you are stuck doing admin paperwork at 8 p.m. on a Tuesday. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.